Hello. Yeah, let's look at an example of a problem involving uh, how to compute the price of a bond where the interest payments are on a semi-annual basis. So I know so far we have no problem in determining the price of a bond that is based on a yearly basis. What about if this is on a semi basis or a quarterly basis or some other framework? So here's an example of an individual who is thinking about investing in a company by buying bonds. The bonds have a par value of 1,000 and they have a quoted same as what we call the nominal or what we call the stated interest rate of 8% per year. But the interest in this case is paid on a semi-annual basis. The yield to maturity on the bonds, which is the market rate today, is 12%. Again, this is again on a yearly basis. And then we are being told that 9 years left to maturity. So how can we determine the price of this bond? Again, I like to use the time value of money timeline just to give us a perspective. Again, this is what we are saying. So we have a bond here that has 9 years to maturity. And so on up to 8 and then 9 years. So this is time zero. This is today. And this is 9 years when the bond matures. So we know that when this bond matures, the bond is going to pay back the principal, which is the face value of that bond, $1,000. But in the meantime, the bond is going to pay interest. So again, if you're the investor, if you're the bond holder, what happens is when you buy the bond, you give up some cash. And this is the cash that we are trying to figure out here. What are you going to give up, when you're buying this bond? And then in return, this bond is going to pay you interest, which is 8%, but this 8% is a yearly rate. So in other words, then, because you're paying interest every 6 months, so every 6 months you pay an interest, then 6 months you pay an interest, at the end of the year, again 6 months you pay an interest, also at the end of year two, all the way again up to the at time of maturity you also pay interest. But how much interest are you paying? Again, it's 8% per year. So what you could do is you'll take the 8%. So there are two ways to do it. You can take the 8% and then times $1,000, and this will give you that you'll be paying $80 a year. But remember, you're paying interest not every year, but it's every 6 months. So basically what you're paying, this is per year, but you're basically paying $40 every every 6 months. So this is how much you're paying. The other alternative will be you take a half of 8 because you have 2 periods per year. So in 1 year, you basically have 2 periods. So you'll take the 8% divided by 8 divided by 2, and that gives you 4% per period. And then you do the 4% times 1,000, and this will still give you, you'll be paying $40 every 6 months. So we know then every 6 months you're going to pay $40, $40 at the end of the year, $40, $40, all the way again at maturity you pay $40, but you're going to receive the $1,000 at maturity. No, not paying, you'll be receiving. So sorry for saying you'll be paying. You'll be receiving $40 every single time. So you're not paying, but you're receiving, because if you're the bond holder, you're giving up some cash today, which in this example we don't know. That's what we're trying to figure out here. You're going to give up the cash today, but in return, you'll be receiving $40 every 6 months, and then at maturity, you also receive $1,000. So these 40s are basically positive 40s and a positive 1,000 at maturity. So again, the deal behind this, what you're trying to do is to determine the present value of all the cash flows. The cash flows is the present value of the $40 that you'll be receiving and the $40 of the $1,000. The present value of all those future benefits, the future cash flows, is what is going to be the market price of this particular bond. Again, I like to use Excel, but you can use a financial calculator. You can use financial tables or financial formula. But if we use the financial calculator, again, we have to determine what our N is. Remember, in this example, is on a semi-annual basis, and therefore we have 12% being the market rate. So the yield rate is 12%, but it's 12% per year. So we need to determine our yield rate per period, which in this example again is going to be 12% divided by 2 periods per year, and therefore our yield rate will be 6%. The total number of payments, again, we have 2 payments per year times how many years left? We have 9 years left, and this will give you 18 periods. So now we can pull up our Excel, sorry. So we go to Excel and let's try to determine the value of this bond or the price of this bond. Okay, I'm just going to increase, and so this is where we are. I'm just going to slide this here. So we know that we are looking for the present value of all those future cash flows. That's how we determine the price of the bond. So the present value of the future cash flows, again keeping in mind we only use the quoted rate, the stated rate, or the nominal rate, which is the 8% and 4% per period here, to determine our interest payments. So we base the 8% of 1,000, which is 80 per year, per period is $40 per period. This is how much interest you'll be receiving. But in terms of discounting or determining the present value, we have to use the going rate in the market, which is the yield to maturity or the market rate. If you're told, if you're not given the yield rate and you know the market rate, then of course we're going to use the market rate. So market rate here is 6%, and our number of periods, again, we have 2 periods per year for 9 years. Our periods are 18. The payment that you'll be receiving, you're going to earn interest revenue if you're the bond holder here, and we know that you'll be earning $40 every period. And then the future value at maturity, you're also going to have a cash inflow. You'll also receive the face value of the bond, which is $1,000. And you insert all that and you enter, and you have a present value of 783 and 45. Again, this shows us a negative number because remember, when you're buying the bond, you're going to be giving up cash, so you're going to sacrifice 783 and 45 cents. So in other words, we are saying this bond is selling for 743, is selling for 783 and 45 cents. Again, I hope this information helps, and let me know if you have any questions on chapter 10, which covers again valuation and rates of return. See you in the next chapter where we are going to look at the cost of capital. Thank you.